gotta dream it, like you mean it. Embrace the vision, no need to conceal it. Feeling as a beast, the colors so bright. Aim for the stars, reach new heights. Align your life, don't let it design you. Chase your dreams, make them all come true. Dance to the rhythm, move with the beat. You're the creator, get up on your feet. Then you gotta dream it, like you mean it. Embrace the vision, no need to conceal it. Daydream as the beast, the colors so bright. Aim for the stars, reach new heights. Design your life, don't let it design you. Chase your dreams, make them all come true. Dance to the rhythm, move with the beat. You're the creator, get up on your feet.
Peace, peace, peace. What's happening? What's up? What's good? This is Coach Bay, and welcome back to another episode of Design Your Life. And I have a special friend here today. I'm really excited about this conversation, but I want to make sure you understand why this podcast even exists. Designing Your Life or Design Your Life is really about exposing you to people who have crafted and designed a beautiful life around all their passions and dreams and their talents. And as a result, they're living a life that's worth living. And for me, it's important to not only have experience, but exposure. At certain points in high school, I had questions, but there was questions that I just didn't know I should ask. So I want you to never have the ability to say, I didn't know. No one told me. I didn't know the questions. I didn't know what to ask. I didn't know those answers. So we're gonna bring outstanding people to the forefront. LeBron James of the world and LeBron, the Oprah Winfrey's, they're all beautiful people. But more times than not, it's a lot more real when we can experience everyday people that have designed their lives. And we have another outstanding guest today, and I'm going to try my best to do him some justice. He's a husband, a CSUB graduate, has an MBA from Webster University, a dynamic and inspirational speaker and content creator. He's a mentor, licensed California insurance agent, owner of the Daryl Dean Santos Farmers Insurance Agency. He holds the title of Distinguished Toastmaster, named to the 20 under 40 list by Bakersfield, California, the outstanding Daryl, AKA my insurance guy, Dean Santos.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, welcome. How you feeling?
Feeling good. I appreciate the introduction.
No, absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming and giving me some of your time. My mentor calls it time currency, so I know it's important to us all. So we're going to dive in. I want to start at the beginning.
Okay.
I want to start at the beginning with your childhood. So where did you grow up? What did it feel like? What did it smell like? The city, in the house, outside the house?
Oh, yeah.
Well, how did that feel? And what was that like?
That's it's very interesting that you asked that question at this time of year because I'll explain. So my family my grandparents came from the Philippines. They migrated over here. My mom came along with them, and that's where I started. My childhood was growing up with my grandparents and their kids and my uncles and aunts. We grew up in a house of like 15 people.
Wow.
So for me, the idea of having a really big family was always like, oh, that'd be cool to have just because of the experience I have had.
Yeah.
So growing up in that household, again, you smell the lumpia. My grandpa's always cooking. It seems for like 15 people every single day.
Wow.
And again, my uncle and aunts, my mom's brother and sisters, I was just hanging out with them as they were growing up. I remember them being in high school. And yeah, growing up as a child in a family that migrated to America, you never really realize what you did not have.
Yeah.
Right. As much as you're growing up, is just know your family was there taking care of you.
Yeah.
And growing up there, grew up in Ventura, and from Ventura. Or Oxnard specifically, just grew up there my entire life and coming out to Bakersfield in about 2005 before the housing bubble.
Okay.
And my life there, I thought I was going to stay and live there. Weather's nice because it's the coast.
Yeah.
Coming out here has been a change. But yeah, in terms of the childhood, it's, my dad was a very hard worker. I've recently learned my dad stopped working as a supervisor at a manufacturing plant because when I was younger, my dad told me, I'm like, hey dad, like when am I gonna see you or spend time with you? And he told me, he's like, that's the moment when he changed. Because I was curious, I'm like, why did you stop working from this high supervisor position to then working at Taco Bell?
Okay.
And working from Taco Bell, transitioned to working as a custodian in the school district. He was like, well, I got paid $2 less, but less stress and better benefits.
Yeah, and he can spend time with you guys.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
more time with family. So in my head, I'm like, based on the what's the word, context of the situation at the time, the circumstances, to me it makes perfect sense. It's just going what's working out. Could he have done something different, like to transition back to something else, to a different manufacturing company or another business? Yeah, but again, I think he was living a life compared to the Philippines, what it would have been like over there in a
Yeah.
third world country.
Yeah.
He was essentially winning.
Right.
So again, I don't blame him. And as I came out here, well, I'll back up. Like a lot of my life, my dad was he had a big faith, and so grew up a lot in the church.
Okay.
And I think I've gone through a lot of trials and tribulations, and I think my faith has helped me out and overcoming that. Not necessarily because of the specific religion, but I think it's the fact of community.
Yeah.
The community aspect of it. It's what I had people in my youth group that were older than me, and we went to the same junior high and high school together.
Okay.
So I always had someone to be like, oh yeah, I know someone, and maybe able to help me feel a lot more comfortable through that transition, which
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
was good. And then just having those adults in my life that really cared about
Yeah.
my genuinely cared about how I was growing up and what I was being influenced by, I think was very important too. Because I think as we both have grown up, we've noticed those relationships are important in general of who pours into us.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll
So-
talk about that for sure.
Yeah. And so, yeah, through there, church was big, getting involved, volunteered a lot. I think that's where a lot of my giving sense has come from, just because I've learned that helping out, serve the less fortunate in my hometown multiple times, and then traveling to the Philippines when I was like in high school or junior high. Me seeing kids my age panhandling and then learning that the money that they're gathering is going to essentially like their pimp who is telling them to go out and raise money. So to me, that was like, that left an impression on me. And just knowing when I was serving food back home to another kid that was my same age, like around my same age, just on the other side of the table,
Yeah.
and their dad with them, like we live in the same town, but yet we're living two different lives.
Different lives. Yeah.
And so those things have left an impression on me of like, okay, how do I avoid that? Right. And then two is like, okay, given, I'm blessed with things, how can I be a good steward of the things that I've been blessed with?
Yeah.
And that's kind of more of the challenge now is I feel like I'm a big giver of time, energy, resources, and money when I have it. But when we give, sometimes we don't see the financial piece of it, especially sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And then that could also cause conflict. Because we give so much, but yet we don't see a return. And it's hard to give when you expect things in return. So
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, hopefully the giving comes from a different place. For me, in terms of if I'm going to give of my time, of my energy, whether it's money, whatever it may be, it's like you almost can't expect anything back, and I don't know that you should, expect anything back. If you are actually, we're using the word give. If we're using the word give, I don't know that you should expect anything back. And if you get something back, then that's a plus.
Yeah.
But, I think the giving is the return, hopefully.
Hopefully, right? And I think like when you take it out of context of business, I think it's easier. Like when I go out and like I help prepare food at the women's shelter, and we put it in a sandwich bag and we help serve people. Yeah, I'm not expecting anything back.
Yeah.
When it comes to business, again, I help too. Again, a big part of my job is serving and educating.
Yeah.
But I understand it will take time for people to understand how I do business, who I am, what are my professional beliefs and whatnot, to see if someone wants to do business with me.
Got it.
But so again, still giving of time, effort, and resources and network, right? And trying to see is like, when does the return on the investment of time, energy, right, into other people ends up paying off.
Got it. Now, look, I don't want to go too far ahead. I don't want to go too
No
far
worries,
ahead.
no worries.
Because I can't skip over mom. We heard about dad. Mom, what did she do
So my mom,
at that time when you were growing up?
so my mom, she, I think, this was before she was working at the bank. So my mom worked at Toys R Us.
Okay.
So this was
Growing up?
Growing up.
At Toys R Us?
So,
Man, my man was getting toys all day long.
Oh, no, well, yeah, I got Pokemon cards. That was a big thing during the time. But still, so as my mom was working there, so keep in mind, my parents had me when they're like 21 and 22.
Okay.
So, I was like, and now I'm 34, and I'm like, man, if I had a child right now, like, this is different. So if I was like back then, I think like at 24 is when I got my master's and still figuring out my life.
Yeah.
So now like I'm trying to put myself in my parents' shoes. Like,
Yeah.
how the heck did they deal with me? And I was the oldest. So what ended up happening as I was growing up, my mom worked at Toys R Us, and I would get dropped off over there, and pretty much, they have the game stations all set up.
Yeah.
So I was playing the demo games for like hours, and then just walked around the store. Everyone knew who I was already, so they didn't really pay me much mind. And I just remember hanging out there. I learned a lot. I learned from my dad a lot of hard work. My mom too, but more of like just love from my mom. Like my mom just genuinely just loved me, and that's why I take so much from her. My dad showed love through his hard work.
Okay.
So through service, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what because all my mom's family is the one that's here. So my grandparents are from my mom's side. My dad is the only one from his family that's here in America.
Oh, wow.
So as I've, again, grown, I've come to understand, okay, now I kind of feel he could be potentially dealing with, a little bit of isolation just because he doesn't have his true family close to him.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I think I go through somewhat of a similar situation. My wife is from Israel, and her entire family is in Israel. So I can't, and I'm with her every single day, but I can only imagine, and my family's on the East Coast, we're in California. I can only imagine, being in a different country, you don't have any of your family there. So I can absolutely understand that potential, just feeling isolated, because you can't reach out and touch them, and videos going but so far. So okay, so as a kid, what did you like to do though? Like, what did you like to do? What did you dream about?
I mean, as a kid, what I remember is like, it was just like, I don't feel like it's like that nowadays, but it was like hanging out with, again, friends. Like everyone I hung out with was literally on my block. Like 3 houses down, we'd be playing basketball.
You mean you guys actually went outside?
Yeah, we actually went outside. like right? As I don't feel like it happens as often.
Yeah, man, you guys don't go outside. You got zombies in the house.
Yeah, we would go out, play some basketball. I'm always playing with these guys were older. Always getting frustrated, but then I would think about watching, Dragon Ball Z, and just like how Goku was always around, was always getting himself beat up, but he always came back and kicked their butts. Yeah. But it was like he was always training. He always came better from like the hard obstacles, and that's kind of, I think, it was odd. I think he's probably like one of my favorite superheroes, if you will. Okay. Just because of like that, I guess school of thought of like how he saw enemies and obstacles, and so playing basketball. Got better, and I remember I cracked my head open. It was my friend, kindergarten friend. We ended up racing. I hit the back of her tire, and I ended up flipping over, and then my bike flew on top of my head.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I remember literally just like looking down at the ground. I just remember seeing like drips of blood just like
Wow.
coming down.
This was in kindergarten?
This was probably, yeah, at least in kindergarten, between kindergarten to second or
You're
third
like
grade.
6, 7 years old.
Yeah. And I remember when they put me into the emergency room, they cleaned up my head, and then all of a sudden,
Oh, a Staples?
they stapled my head
Okay.
shut. Yeah.
Damn. I know your mom was freaking out.
I don't even know. I just remember my dad took me. Probably my mom was. I'm
Yeah.
sure she was.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Wow.
that was a lot of it. That was pretty much it. It was basketball. It was basketball, hanging out with friends, and just from that, it was that was like majority of my life, just trying to find ways to play basketball.
Okay.
Yeah, I've noticed when I looked at my mom has this photo, the circle photo of like all my faces in every grade.
Okay.
And so I noticed, like, I was skinny, like, you know, I was a normal kid, got bigger, skinnier, bigger kid, skinny, bigger, and then bigger, and stayed big.
Okay.
So weight was actually, has been part of has been something that's been constant in my life of
Okay.
being aware of. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't fit normally like a lot of people I know.
Okay. All right.
So,
Yeah, no, well, we talk about challenges as well.
Yeah.
But I want to know, like, just kind of still in that childhood
Sure,
space.
please.
Did you have goals and dreams or specific goals for the most part that
Yeah.
you wanted to like reach, or did that come later in life?
I think it honestly came a lot later. Like, I think as a child, it was just more of consumption of things and just getting the foundation built. Like,
Yeah.
like in church was more of that foundation. Just when I think about it even more now, it's just more of like I'm just present and absorbing more than anything. I think where it kind of came more to fruition of like, hey, I need to get things figured out. I think it was as I was getting closer to senior year in high school.
Okay.
So like in senior year of high school, I was like, okay, well, do I want to try to go to an Ivy League school? Am I trying to go to Cal State right away?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm just gonna go to I'm just gonna go to community college 2 years, Cal State for 2 years, and then maybe get my master's along the way.
Got it.
And yeah, I like not really any big ambitions because actually I take that back. I'm skipping over it. In junior high,
Okay.
I got to the point with my dad when I would be asking for things. And he's like, oh, next time. I got to the point where I got so fed up with hearing next time, I was like, I ended up selling candy out of my backpack in junior high.
Okay.
So that was actually my first like entrepreneurship venture.
There you go.
And so from all seventh grade, there's like 3 or 4 other people selling candy, and I ended up taking them out of business.
Okay.
And I think like in 8th grade, my buddy at the time wanted to start selling candy with me. So again, I bought the supplies and I distribute it. I see how much I should be getting back. I'm like, all right, you'll keep X amount of dollars.
So you created a business.
Yeah, and he was my first employee, honestly, at that
There you
point.
go. How can you forget that, man? That's awesome. That's
So,
awesome. Taking
yeah.
people out of big probably ruined some relationships.
But it was cool, you know. That's kind of the thing. I think that's kind of what sparked it. I
Yeah.
wanted to be a business owner, or at least someone calling the shots. And I think my uncle was a bigger proponent for me for my personal growth because
Yeah.
he was listening to Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. He was studying Stoicism. Tim Ferriss, if people know about Tim Ferriss, just how he just thinks differently and things like
Yeah.
that. I was exposed to a lot of that through him, and so that kind of helped me get going to just start thinking differently. And I think it really honestly has paid off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in high school, you spent, I don't know if it was a year or two, but you were in Oxnard High School, and then you went over to Stockdale.
Right.
So how was the transition? Because depending on what grade, you can tell us what grade
Sure.
that was, but like, you have your friends and you moved from high school. What was that transition like for you?
Man, I don't know. It still kind of burns.
Okay.
Because I
This
think
is a safe space too.
No,
You can say what-
no, you're good. It's it's when I was so I was at Oxnard High School all the way up to the first half of my junior year.
First half of your junior year.
Yeah, first half of my junior year.
Wow.
So, this is, and then when I came back from Christmas break is when I started at Stockdale.
Wow. So after Christmas break. So, wow. So before Christmas break, like, I don't know if this was planned or, if you knew about it, but, your friends are expecting you to come back to school in January, right?
Well, yeah, I had the conversation with them prior to.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was, so prior, so while I was there, again, friends from church, my friend, she created this book, kind of like a go-away book.
Okay.
I still have this book till this day, and it's super cool to see the friends that I had at the time, the things that they would write, and some of them I actually still stayed in contact with too.
Yeah.
Which is really great. One of them is actually one of my kindergarten friends.
Okay.
Since kindergarten, we still talk today.
Wow.
And it's just that it was sad. It was very, very, to me, it was sad. And I think I was honestly looking forward to like partying my senior year, just because I had friends who were already seniors and I see what they're doing. I'm like, okay, cool. We could end up doing this. And I already had all my relationships.
Yeah.
And then transition happened of like me knowing that I was going to be coming over here.
Yeah.
And yeah, that sucked.
Yeah.
And so I had to start all over.
Yeah. So how did it go on the other side? Because now you're in a whole new school.
Yeah.
I mean, part of junior year, which is crazy because you're basically in the middle of the year, and then going into your senior year. So how was that?
That was, I think any other kid at the time would think of it as just being sucky and just trying to make new friends and adjustment. Summers sucked because I wasn't used to the heat.
Yeah.
But there, like, it was different. Culture shock for sure. Like, so one of the biggest things I remember different wise was what is it? It's not Middle East or say Southern Asia. We have an Indian population here, and we over in Oxnard, like out of 6 of my classes, I probably had 2 Indian nationality individuals in my classes. Over here, we had cliques, we had groups. Right. I'm like, whoa, like this is different.
Yeah.
And so I was definitely taken back by that. I was like, okay. And the Filipinos in Oxnard were different from the Filipinos over here.
Okay.
So like the Filipinos over there were like big hip hop, urban wear, like LRG, Echo, and then coming over here to Bakersfield, like Abercrombie and Fitch, Hollister. It was, to me, it was like night and day.
Culture shock.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, so trying to find a way to adjust. But what was so cool was like, I had a lot of like Black and Mexican, some Asian friends there in Oxnard, and those are the people I was drawn more here, like the Blacks and the Mexicans, like we were homies. It was just like, it was just easy. Like, it didn't feel like the culture changed.
Right.
Or at least the aesthetics from the outside. And so I was able to kind of lean on that.
Okay. No, that's awesome, man. It's interesting how we manage transition. But like when you're a teenager and in high school, you can almost like see it in 9th grade. Yeah. But once you get to your junior year, I mean, you're just, you got your status in school.
You're established.
So that's a big deal.
I think one thing that helped me through that transition is like for me, like so basketball was one way how I got to meet new people. Yeah. And then just find out how often they come out and play and just played with them. And then I get to know people. And I again looked at it from like Goku's perspective of, okay, if I play with people better than me and I play with different people, I'm going to get better because now I have more variety of experience.
Okay, right? Got it.
And so you're exposed to, again, how someone handles the ball different from this guy, from this, from that person. And then you can also pick up moves from different people you play with too.
Yeah, no, look, I come from that space. I live, breathe, and die basketball, every single day of my childhood. So I totally get it. Yeah. Okay, so fast forward. Yeah. You finished at CSUB. Yeah. And you spent about 3 months in an entrepreneurship as an assistant. the
Yeah.
entrepreneurship assistant program with Bakersfield College at the Innovation Center. What was that like?
That was.
And what did you get out of it?
It was interesting. Again, it was the accounting professor that was overseeing that program. It was government funded, and then the program didn't really last that long. I think maybe 3 months.
Okay.
During that time, I think I was doing like multiple things. I was tutoring. That was a whole nother journey,
Okay.
but that was short lived too. Tutoring, I was doing that, and I was still working as a custodian.
Okay.
Yeah, and so working there it allowed me to help me like kind of work on the marketing too, and getting people involved, engaging with some of the business owners. And I thought I wanted to work there too because I wanted to be a business owner. So why not try to build my network?
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's entrepreneurship. See what I could learn. So yeah, it was different in terms of like when you get funding, like the things that go into it, like you need the stats, you need to show that you're making a difference, and what are you measuring? So that was a different perspective of it's not necessarily nonprofit, but again, a program from the school that's receiving funding.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, got to learn from different entrepreneurs. Michael Simmons, he was one of the entrepreneurs. He actually came out to Bakersfield College at one point, and it was like a U-turn or construction zone. I forgot what it was, but they came out, which was really cool, and got other college students who wanted to start a business and had this big old forum, which was awesome to be a part of.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's different organizations out there now, like Kite, Kern Initiative of Technology and Entrepreneurs.
Okay.
So I think it's with the Lake Foundation or the Lake family, and Danielle Patterson, I think, is the director of it. And so, yeah, entrepreneurship, it's given me opportunity in junior high. It's given me opportunity now. There's a lot of entrepreneurship related things here in town that I think people could plug into. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, first, I appreciate the resources because a part of this is I call it almost like your virtual mentor. Because, again, people don't know.
Yeah.
And if they can't see it, they can't hear it, they can't touch it, it's kind of difficult to figure it out and even know where to go and where to look and if it's okay to go in this direction. Because sometimes, the world socializes us and tells us what we should do, how we should work, who we should work with. So I appreciate that for sure.
There's tons of resources out there for entrepreneurs. Again, the Kern Women Business Center, the Small Business Development Center at CSUB, free mentoring.
There you go.
It's just going out there and is asking for help. And I think, like, even just in business in general, like, if you never ask for the sale, you won't get the sale.
Right.
But also, just to even receive help, you'll never get the help if you never ask.
There you go. Yeah, well, you say the squeaky wheel, the squeaky wheel. Okay, so after you complete your MBA, what was the first move you made?
Oh, yeah?
What was
The first move I made after...
made?
So my girlfriend at the time, my now wife, when she gave me the ultimatum of dating her or not, she gave me that ultimatum when she was going into her master's program for social work.
What was the ultimatum was?
That's to date or not to date.
Oh, okay. Basically, are you serious about
this?
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay. Get it together, brother.
Yeah, that was it. And she was she was starting her master's program the same time I was.
Okay.
So pretty much that was back in 2012, I believe.
Yeah.
And we did that. So we were dating at the time. And so when she finished, to give it some more context, like she had to, when she got her degree, she got a grant where she had to work for a California county for 2 years in order for her master's to be paid off.
Okay.
So it works out. She gets a job and she gets a free degree.
Yeah.
So she ended up finding a place in Riverside. So now, after getting my master's degree, the first thing I did was was I working there? No, I was working. Yeah, I found a job that transitioned me into working at a field adjuster job. So I was going out to people's home for claims, and that job was super stressful.
Yeah.
But again, it was just I got my master's degree, trying to find a way to make more money.
I hear you.
Yeah, because that's why I'm going there.
Yeah, yeah.
I was going to try to get as much as I can for the investment I made into myself.
Right.
And eventually, I got to a point where I needed to put in for jobs. So actually, it was before that adjuster job. I put in for 50 plus jobs in Riverside, and guess how many job interviews I got?
3.
0.
Damn.
So I got my MBA. Shortly after, I put in for 50 jobs because I already proposed to my girlfriend. Now she's my fiance. Now I miss her more.
Right.
And put in for 50 jobs, not a single interview. I got one opportunity to test with the county. Never heard back.
Wow.
But other than that, no interviews. And so I was just like, this is where my life crumbled.
Yeah.
I remember I was like in my room, I was crying. I was like, God, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Like, I was told, go to school, get a good job, work for a good company, they'll take care of you.
Yeah.
I went to school, got good jobs, companies didn't want to move me up, or it was just not the right fit for me.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just like, okay, like, what do I do?
Yeah.
That's kind of where I was at, and then just continued applying. Found a job with another insurance company. It was a raise. They gave me a company car. They paid me decent, and they gave me a company gas card. And I was able to use both the company car and the company gas card for personal use.
Okay.
So since my fiance now lived in Riverside, I was
Yeah.
able to use my vehicle to go and see her.
To go back and forth.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it really worked out.
Wow. So I want to back up though, because you said life crumbled. So
Yeah.
like, I mean, this is a tough time. How did you get through it?
I mean, I think most of like what I just really remember most, that was like the pivotal times in my life. But I think because I've already done a lot of personal development myself, like out of high school when I was working as a custodian for 5 years. Anytime I was on my bike or working, I was listening to a motivational speaker like Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins, Les Brown, Earl Nightingale. I'll be listening to these people. So it's like I wasn't really starting from scratch, but I already had some programming, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I think at that point, it's like, what can I do to take charge of my life?
There you go.
Because it was more of like, if I just suck it up and just like, oh, I guess I'm here, then I think I'm leaving the world to tell me what to do versus me making my own decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important, man, because there's a lot of people out there who, you know, are struggling. They go through challenges, but just don't know how to like work through them.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you had anyone to like speak to and talk to about it, but just knowing that, you know, you had, you know, whether it's Zig Ziglar and the different motivational
Yeah.
icons and in your life that you went to, that you found an outlet.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's so important to find that outlet. So yeah, no, it's important to figure out how to kind of get through those really messy, mucky times.
Yeah.
When we do have them, because it's a part of life. It's going to happen. It's a part of life. So you spent like the next like few years basically out of when you completed your MBA in insurance, basically, right? So why insurance? And then at what point did you like decide, man, it's time for me to do my own thing and fly and have my own business? Because that's where you were basically going.
Yeah. Again, I wanted to own my own business. I didn't know what industry. I just knew I wanted to be the person either making the shots and making a lot of money or owning my own business and eventually make a lot of money.
Got it.
And, you know, the insurance world it's so interesting. You know, we hear the saying of, you know, we're the average of the 5 people who we hang around with, right? So my buddy and I, who I knew through junior college, and we took finance classes together at CSCB. Again, I was a custodian, had access to the gym, so we played basketball, and so our relationship was still good, right? And he was like, "Hey, man, they're hiring here at State Farm. Why don't you come and I can put a good word for you, and then apply." I applied, felt like I bombed the interview,
Okay.
and got hired.
Okay.
And so that's really was just the start of it. And
Yeah.
one of my goals was to, after I graduate, was work for a Fortune 50 company. And State
Okay.
Farm at the time, I think, was like 45.
Got it.
And so I was like, okay, well, I'm working for a good company.
Yeah.
So there is opportunity, I'm assuming. They say they hire from within. And so, yeah, that was where I started and just got a lot of experience. And I figured, well, why not work there? Because I'm going to be an adult one day and I'm going to buy a house. Why not learn the rules from the inside? Because I don't want to get screwed over by the insurance companies. Because again, that's what I thought, and a lot of other people have still thought is like the insurance companies are not there to to give you money. The insurance company is there to keep their money. Right. And so, by me understanding the rules, I thought this would be beneficial for me as I grew up. And so, I just stayed there and thought I was knowledgeable. I thought there was opportunity. Things changed and just continued staying in the insurance world because I just knew people going from in-house claims to outside claims. Outside claims would end up making more money. And then found out I wasn't a fit for that. But then I was still able to stay in the insurance realm, to bring that experience to then becoming a consultant for farmers agents.
Okay.
And that journey was interesting all in itself, was because I had my MBA at the time, no business owner, like legit owner experience. But I had a lot of book smarts and street smarts. And a lot of self-taught stuff, and was able to communicate that in a way where how I could deliver value. And and then they ended up hiring me, and I worked there for almost like 3.5 years. And helped some businesses, 2 specifically. One go from 5 to 6 figures, from what I last remember, and the other lady, who was an office of one, going to what we call an achievement club, where less than 5% of agents actually get.
Okay.
And it was just her. And she made it.
Wow.
And there's other agencies that have at least one person. So for her to make it and the other guy to make more money, I'm like, this is cool. So to me, I felt like I made a difference, at least in those 2 people's lives.
Yeah, for sure.
So, change in management, and then it was released. And then a couple months down the line, 6 months at least down the line, because I was unemployed for 6 months. And
it was like a contract. You said you were
no. They let me go. New management came in. There's 2 of me. They kept the more experience. Makes sense.
Gotcha, for sure.
And then I just ended up trying to find another job. Wasn't finding anything at the time. And then they're like, hey, you want to take over this agency? Looked into it, and I said yes. And the funny thing, how I made my final decision on saying yes, I have a buddy who's the agent, an agent, and I asked him, hey man, what, how did you know you wanted to become an agent? And here I am with an MBA, right? And he's like, Daryl, I worked in the fields. I'm like, okay. And I end up selling water to businesses in LA. If I knew I could sell water in LA, I knew I could sell insurance.
Right.
I was like, really? That's all your logic to doing this? And then after you told me, I gave contacted the district, and I was like, I'll take it. After all that, and I'm like, and because I have another person another guy who's a mentor of mine, and he's like, he comes from banking, and he's like, well, I would look at this, I look at that, and I'm like, okay, I'm looking at it. It looks like it makes sense. But again, it's still not guaranteed because you have to retain the business.
Right.
But overall, I think it's been a good choice. It's just been an interesting experience. Again, I'm about to hit 5 years June 1st. So.
No, I know that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's funny because it segues into my next question is you're about to come up on this anniversary. So, 5 years. What's the, I know it's never all peaches and cream.
Oh, no.
Right? So what's one one of the biggest obstacles that you might have had to get through, and just kind of how did you get through that?
Yeah. I think it is, a lot of it's going to be, one, you have to have a very strong belief in yourself that you're going to succeed. Right? In business, no one goes in thinking they're going to lose, right? You don't go into a basketball game thinking you're gonna lose, right?
Yeah, you better not.
Or not win,
right.
or not lose, right? You're not thinking of not losing. But so going into it, I think my own belief in myself was still pretty strong. I think I had bigger ambitions than I thought I should have.
Okay.
Because I grew, and the reason I said it, because I grew my team faster versus getting more focus on my systems.
Okay.
So when I mean systems, is my front person, if I have someone come in for my front, let's say a receptionist position, do I have an idea track an ideal track of like how they progress and things to learn. So I'm not there giving up a lot of my time. Right. So systematizing things like that, training. And what I ended up doing, I expanded too fast and I wasn't able to give my time. The culture wasn't set.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think I had core values at the time over there. I think the core values came in a little bit later, maybe 2-3 years in. Like I had my own personal mission.
But you didn't have them established for the business.
Yeah. And I think now, like this past year, 2 years, with that established has been very, it really helps provide direction.
Yeah.
Because that's what I end up leaning back on. I'm like, okay, so like our current core values are trust, it's integrity, integrity, service, and development.
Okay.
So going back to your question in regards to like things and skills, what people to give at, I think if you could learn the best way, how you learn.
Okay.
So if you're very good kinesthetic, so you have to do something to learn, or you need a book, and then so you're a visual learner or you're an audible learner, find out the best way that you learn. So then you could pick up skills so much faster. The next skill would be communication, and communication's still vague.
Yeah.
Right? So there's listening, there's validating, there's influencing, and then and with that communication comes leadership. So that's why I think communication is going to be really important. And the other skill is going to be interpersonal skills. So how do you work with different people?
Yeah.
Not just communicating in general, but now how do you communicate to certain different types of people with different experience, different backgrounds, different life experiences that give them a different way of looking at certain situations and trying to bring that together.
Yeah.
To have like a synergistic team or a cohesive team at least.
Yeah.
So I think with business owners or just people in general could work on those three, I think they'll go very far.
Yeah, well, a lesson out of some of that is just in the beginning, trying to expand and move too quickly. It may look good on the outside, but the culture, that part of it is extremely important. So, again, a part of this is just learning for people who are watching that, sometimes slow and steady.
Yeah.
Versus going as fast as you possibly can. So I have I want to know if you, just because you've been in business for almost 5 years now, and just have life experience.
Sure.
Do you have any like habits or rituals that you kind of go to on a daily basis, or you have anything in place from that standpoint?
Yeah. I think for like, even when I first started my business, something I know that's been very consistent is continuous investment into myself. Either have it be through podcasts, YouTube, books, personal development, events.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started the business, I took my entire team out to go see Bob Proctor, Les Brown, and these couple other people. And Sugar Ray Leonard was the MC at the time.
Okay.
And I just paid $60 to get in front of these people, but outside of this event, easily hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
And so it's like constant investing into myself, constant learning, because I for me it's just not like I'm the messenger type of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning how to become a better leader and communicator to make that impact. So a lot of it's been continuous reading, like again, all those things. And I think asking for help is also a constant thing. I don't think there's one day when I'm not asking for help.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing, man. I mean, I think especially as men, a lot of times we, again, go back to being socialized into thinking that we're supposed to know it all, we're supposed to do it by ourselves and not seek out help. And it's extremely important to kind of dispel that myth.
Yeah.
And, successful people, you name whoever you want to name, none of them have done it by themselves. None of them have done it by themselves. And, speaking of relationships, right? What, some people, they say, it's not about what you know, but who you know. So how do you feel relationships play into just designing your life and becoming,
Yeah.
successful in general, has that impacted you any way, or is it just overrated?
No, I think it's. I don't know. I don't want to say it's underrated because I don't think it's underrated. I think people in business know the value of it,
Yeah.
know the value of relationships, but I think the people outside of business are not too keen on the phrase. And so, but in general, I say relationships are important, and I believe it's played a big factor in my life. Again, that's how I got my first job. Was my buddy Angelo.
Yeah.
He was like, "Hey, we have an opportunity here. Do you want to work?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when I was going for that field adjusting job, I went back to my buddy Angelo because he was doing that already with the with the current company. I'm like, "Hey, man, can you walk me through and educate me on how you do this?"
Yeah.
So then I could then present myself like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And help me get that job. Again, relationship. And then from there, what's so interesting, when I was working as that field adjuster, I got reached out on LinkedIn by this guy who worked at Farmers. Sat down. I thought we were just networking, right? Just build my relationships like I think I should. I found out he was trying to recruit me as an agent. And I was like, hey, this is not the right time for me.
Yeah.
I can't do commission only. And then come out later when I got that consultant job. So a headhunter reached out to me, but then when I finally went in for an interview, it was that same guy who I had coffee with like a year back.
Okay.
So he's like, yeah, I know this guy.
Yeah.
And then, so keep in mind though, while I was waiting, so again, relationships, right? That's what we're highlighting.
Yeah.
When I was sitting in the front office waiting, there's a receptionist. And I was talking to the receptionist. I was like, hey, so how do you like working here? We kept going back and forth and whatnot. And that was a determining factor if I was going to get the job or not. She later told me because there was someone else they were interviewing. And then the guy who interviewed me said, hey, which one do you like?
Right.
And I got lucky.
It's not luck. It's not luck. Listen, it's funny because my accountability partner, who's also my cousin, we talk about this all the time. That he's a musician. He does all this stuff, but he always says almost probably 100% of the opportunities that he has gotten is because of relationships, and in general, people are more apt to give you an opportunity or to engage with you if they like you.
Oh yeah,
If they
100%.
like you, so you're probably right when you say underrated or underestimated or whatever the word may be, is that the relationships, and how much did you pay to actually interact with that woman or for any of these relationships? We pay thousands, hundreds of thousands sometimes for degrees, and the degree has value, but the relationships are like priceless, man.
Oh yeah. I could go into so much more things about like relationships. Like right now, as an insurance agent, like we're reading Rich Dad Poor Dad today, and we're just talking about value, what we bring to our team, and understanding our clients and trying to go above and beyond. Right? It's like the insurance world's tough because premiums are getting high.
Yeah.
Like no doubt about it. And sometimes people want to stay with us because they believe in the company, they believe in our agency, be able to help them. But the premiums are just high. I was like, well, by us sharing, like Laborers of the Harvest is a nonprofit here in town that if you pay $30 a month for a membership, you could go twice a week to their food distribution area and get 3 bags full of groceries, like unlimited amounts of groceries, how much you could pack into a bag.
Wow.
That could save families $400, $500 a month.
Hell yeah.
If not more.
Wow.
And it's just food that they glean from the regular grocery stores. It's just the regular grocery stores can't sell it, but they could give it out.
Right.
So, by us providing information like that, again, I wouldn't have known of that organization if it wasn't for my friend Rachika Eck, who's super involved in the community on top of working with the Blue Zones Project in Bakersfield. She's just an awesome individual as well, where she brought me on board. She was donating. I want to donate to it as well. And that's how I learned about that organization, how it could provide so much help.
Wow.
But again, relationships.
Yeah, man.
It's a lot.
It means a whole lot. Just, relationships. So there's another side of relationships that I think is important as well.
Okay.
And I want to know your thoughts on this. So, sometimes you have, like, as you're growing up, you have like a core group of guys, girls,
Yeah.
your tribe, right? And I want to know, as you evolved, whether it be through high school and college, did that core group of 5 or 6 or whoever it was, did they come along with you and never change? Or did, some of those guys or girls kind of fade away? And like, what did your tribe look like as you were moving through your personal growth and development and evolving?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think people who are ambitious and trying to do things for themselves, again, some of the people around them, including family, may not be on board or want to do the things with you, even though it makes logical sense. And that's the tough part, because at that point you're gonna feel like, am I crazy? Am I like, does this really help?
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, when I went for my master's, I was the only one in my friend group that was going for my master's, or going for their master's at the time.
Okay.
And I had no one else to relate to other than my girlfriend, fiance, now wife at the time.
Yeah.
And that was really tough, because I continued learning. And so when I try to talk to my friends about certain things, ask them about goals, they're like, yeah, don't want to talk about it. Or it's like you only live once, YOLO.
Okay, so look, here's the fruit right here. Here's the goal right here. Okay, so some of those people kind of disappeared or what have you, right? I want to know, like, at a certain point, did you have to like really distance yourself? Did you have to cut some friends off? Did you have to like love people from a distance? How did that? Did you ever have to do that? And then how did it feel?
I think it just happened naturally.
Okay.
Because I personally just end up just getting busy.
Okay.
And so you'll learn over time, there's only so much time in the day.
Yeah.
And then there's relationships. I think I probably could have done a better job of probably maintaining those relationships, but I think it was just more time focused on me and my own growth at that time, because I felt like I was the only one doing it. So I had to learn to be careful on the advice that people were giving me, because I understood it's coming from love, but it's hard to take business advice from someone that doesn't own a business.
Yeah.
So there came to a point, like, for example, with my wife, she's like, oh, why don't you just let that person go? I'm like, sounds easy, but there's legal stuff, there's process you have to do. Yeah. And so it's just like, she necessarily wouldn't understand. But I have business friends or a coach at the time. I could come to them. It's like, well, Daryl, this is what I'm seeing. These are the steps you would need to do, but you're on the right track of how you're handling it. Okay. It's a lot more comforting, but it's because he just understands the circumstances. So as I was growing and learning and developing, my circle was pretty small. It was really practically just my wife, my fiance at the time, and then my dancing community. Again, I did salsa dancing. I was an instructor for a while. Okay. And that's actually how my wife and I met. And that's how I just kept myself busy.
Okay, Twinkle Toes. I didn't know. I couldn't find that. I couldn't find that. I didn't know you were a salsa instructor.
You didn't dig deep enough in Facebook.
Man, wow. Okay, that's interesting. My wife and I, we might have to get some lessons. But back to the relationship, just real briefly, is super important. That everybody know and hear this, is that like you said, it kind of happened organically for you, but I think it's really important as we progress, as we dream, as we move into the direction that we want to go, that we keep the quality people around us, right? And not allow relationships to be bigger than our dreams and our goals. And I think a lot of times, especially as young people, it's hard to separate. It's hard to distance yourself from people that, whether it's your day ones or your family. I have family members I love to death, but I've got to love you from a distance because we're not going down the same path and we don't have the same ideas and focus and See, Daryl's a nice guy, but he basically was saying, because his friend basically told him, oh, I don't want to think about that. But Daryl was very focused in the direction that you wanted to go in, and didn't require words, but just your actions. So whether it's actions, whether it's words, whatever it may be, you've got to make your dreams more important than the relationships around you if you're going to design a life that you actually can enjoy and love. So that point can't be understated. We can't allow that just to go over the head. 'Cause that part right there will sink your ship many times. Just the people that you allow to be in your circle.
Yeah, like I was, as I was talking with my team, I was like, one of the questions at the end of this chapter was like, is there someone that you feel is very talented, but just not succeeding to make more? And that could be money, relationships, whatever it is. And I shared with my team, I was like, you guys are very talented. I have one guy who was a D1 soccer player, championship too, and he was the captain of his team. I'm like, dude, you could be teaching kids. You have status, you have accreditation,
right?
And you could be making X amount of dollars, and I could help you with that. And then my other team member, she's a baker. She can make cakes. She made me a tres leche cake, and that was bomb. And I was like, you have all the equipment already.
Yeah.
It's just, do you want to order a month and just try it out and see what happens?
Yeah.
But again, the only reason like they would have a higher chance of succeeding is because they have someone else who's in the business world to help them, encourage them. So to your point of like creating changes in your life to move up, to level up, we have to surround ourselves with other people that are doing that too, because they're going to be in the same struggle.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're going to feel like you're on your own island.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm the only one going through this. How, like, either it's going to be woe is me, or you're going to be like, I'm going to be determined to figure this out. It's just going to take me a while.
Yeah. So you kind of went there already, and it's interesting because this is we talk about relationships. But what are your thoughts on mentors? What are your thoughts around the importance, or because again, we are told a lot of times, or we're socialized to believe that we kind of have to do it on our own.
Yeah.
So what do you think about mentors?
I think mentors are very important. And then when it comes to mentors too, it's like people always think they have to be real people too. So there's people that have mentors from authors, like again, Zig Ziglar. I never had a chance to meet him, or Jim Rohn.
Yeah.
But a lot of their principles, Dale Carnegie has been very impactful in my life. Like How to Win Friends and Influence People. Listen to that book. I try at least once a year. Like those things makes a difference because it gives you another way to, like, these people were successful in their own right, and so why not try to obtain those things? Because that's why we seek a mentor. We try to get their experience so we can get that shortcut to success, right? But the shortcut is in the hard work of learning from other people. And I think like Alex Hormozy would say, this shortcut to success is paying for other people's knowledge and skills. So,
there you go.
And that could be through books, through podcasts, through meeting people face to face who have more years of experience to give you that perspective. Because like right now, again, the insurance world is one of the hardest times. One guy who I see as a mentor and who's been in business for 30 plus years, 20 plus years, he's like, this is the hardest time, but we're still gonna push through. I have someone else is telling me the same thing, was anytime there's been the hard time, this is when I start making more money. Like, it's just up after this. So if you could weather the storm, you'll be good.
Yeah.
So, but again, I wouldn't be able to have that perspective unless I knew these people.
Right. And that's unless you had access to them as mentors. One of my mentors who doesn't know me from a can of paint, who is a Toastmasters champion, Dana Lamont.
Oh, yeah.
Dana Lamont doesn't know me at all, but I studied Dana Lamont for a while, and believing in the possibilities, and I just, that sticks with me and has stuck with me. And just his journey, you look him up, but long story short, Dana Lamont at 4 years old fell down, bumped his head, went blind, never lost sight of the possibilities of who he could be, and became, coming out of Compton, California, became the first blind graduate of the Yale University Law Program and went on to become a judge.
Yeah.
And, it's just an incredible story, I would say, to the outside. But for Dana Lamont, it was just like, this is what it's going to be. This is how it's going to be. But there's so much power in that. And like you said, your mentor doesn't have to be someone that you can physically touch or even interact with. Hopefully one day, Dana Lamont, Mr. Lamont and I will interact.
You remember James Minyard?
Yeah.
You need to talk to James. James
Okay.
spent a lot of time with Dana in the car.
Okay.
And so I think you could probably glean a lot from him, and then maybe there might be a connection there.
Hey, there you go. Now, speaking of, why Toastmasters? Why did you join Toastmasters?
Toastmasters, it's so funny. When I first heard about Toastmasters, I was at BC at an event. Someone told me about it. And I was like, yeah. 2 years later, I found myself at a Toastmasters downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I did it was because, well, if I want to lead people, if I want to manage a business, be a CEO, or have my own business, I need to be able to speak.
Yeah.
I remember being in high school and college, like presentations were not my strong suit, but I'd rather do that than write papers.
Right.
So yeah, that allowed me to network with some people. Harvey, rest in peace. He was one of the guys that I really received a lot of information from him. Toastmasters gives a lot of people better ways to present, helps people work on their listening skills, help them work on their communication, leadership skills. I don't know if they raised the price, but it was like $66 for a year.
Yeah.
Super inexpensive for the value you can get out of it.
Yeah.
And you could talk about whatever it is that you want. If you want to talk about basketball every single presentation, you can do that.
Yeah.
If I want to talk about insurance, I can do that.
Yeah.
But it gave a platform. It's a gym for public speaking.
There you go.
So I've heard that in a testimony. I was like, that's perfect. That's
Yeah.
really what it is.
Yeah.
And when I did it, knowing I wanted to be an owner or CEO or some high position, they had how to be a manager, how to facilitate meetings, and like very applicable things. So I don't know if they changed it up, but these were paths that gave me real time experience and was able to fail in the fake $1 million deal.
Yeah.
And then be prepared for the real $1 million deal.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it.
Yeah. No, it definitely helped me out in my journey in terms of being a speaker. Just having the platform to practice and getting some structure, and you get that structure. It's kind of like basketball too. I equate a lot to basketball as you learn from people, you learn skills, you learn structure, you learn how to dribble the ball, and then you figure out your own style.
Yeah.
And then you kind of run and you kind of go and play and do your thing. So Toastmasters was awesome for me. And I always will be forever grateful to Toastmasters, and I consider myself a Toastmaster, although I'm not necessarily active with them at the moment. But I've built relationships out of Toastmasters. Heidi was awesome. Heidi Forsyth, she was awesome for me. She, you guys had no idea how much time she actually spent with me. She was really, really awesome in terms of just giving of herself. So
she really wanted to help people win. It was a big thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it was more of a natural thing. It wasn't forced. It was just like she just had it in her heart. So Toastmasters was awesome for me. Awesome. Talk to me real quick about the Innovation Lab.
So the Innovation Lab, it's a group of individuals who are coming together to want to make the Bakersfield downtown area and the surrounding areas better place to work, live, and play, essentially.
Okay.
So because that's the mission of the hub. So the hub is the main umbrella, and then the Innovation Lab is a program put on by the hub.
Okay.
And so when I joined the Innovation Lab as a participant, it really gave me a lot of perspective in terms of what Bakersfield is.
Okay.
And so I say that because, again, since I started my business and I got married, I want to have a family here. Like, this is where I want to set my roots in Bakersfield. So with that, it's like the only way to make this place better is by investing time, energy, and resources to make my city that much greater.
There you go.
So people would say, it's like, oh, why do you live in Bakersfield? You could live in Ventura or here or there. I'm like, well, I'm not there. I'm
Yeah.
here. The grass is going to be greener where I water it.
Right.
And so the only way to know how I could help my city, help my community, is going to be based on understanding what the needs are.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to really know that is by me applying myself. And so through the Innovation Lab, where I was able to meet local business owners, people who are trying to make a difference themselves, and they do it in their own ways. So we have people who own restaurants, people who are creatives, artists,
Okay.
business owners like myself, realtors, and then just other marketers is what I've noticed, and just everyday people that are coming through. And what's so cool you see for like what we did this last round for the Innovation Lab was having people come up with a 90-day goal.
Okay.
What do they want to come like see happen in Bakersfield? That would be cool that they would like to accomplish. I think a high percentage of our last group was able to complete their 90-day goal.
Nice.
And if not then, later on, they were still able to do it. But it was because people were able to be surrounded by people who believed in making a change and getting support from those people.
Yeah.
Right? Going back to the relationships and community. And we got to learn about architecture in terms of like how things are built structure-wise, design, and how that actually makes us feel. So that gives us an idea of like how can we either build a new business or have an event. How can we create a space or activate a dirt lot to want to invite people in? So
Okay.
it drives different types of perspective from people who are more involved in the community,
Gotcha.
and just show taking action is the biggest thing, and that the hub and the Innovation Lab is there to help support.
Got it. No, it's awesome. Sounds like a great resource. Like a great resource. Okay, so you work a lot. Clearly, work a lot. Focus. But what do you do for fun, man? How do you enjoy yourself with your wife, or like what do you? What is it for you? Is it still lumpia on Sundays, or like what do you do?
Yeah, right now. So recently, it's been more of learning my scales on the guitar.
Okay.
Right now, I bought my wife a guitar, so she said she wanted one, so we've been enjoying that. Reading, again, still reading, learning something every single day.
Okay.
Activity-wise, it's been not basketball, I'm sorry. It's been pickleball.
Pickleball.
Pickleball is what's
Yeah.
been my thing. Was playing basketball with a group of dudes, and then that kind of fell off. I think everyone just felt like they were getting too old. So I wouldn't mind getting back into it. I was in better shape. And for fun, that's pretty much what it is.
So you put your dancing shoes down. That's
So
over with?
I'll go out every once in a while.
Okay.
It's fun. Like the Bakersfield Racket Club, they'll have a group of people. Classes start at 7. Again, if you're at age to drink, you can bring your own drinks, bring your own food.
Okay.
Come in, have a class, and then they'll be dancing from like 7 to 10, if not later.
Okay.
And I think it's like $10 a person.
Wow.
So yeah, there's that. It's just talking to people. I think for me, a lot of my free time, I would say, is like connecting, just with relationships I want to continue.
There you go.
I just spoke with my team today. Is I need to be. One of the questions in the book today was like, where do you feel you're not giving enough in your life? And I was like, man, I feel like I'm tapped out. But I'm like, okay, well, where can I redistribute my time? And one of them is actually to lean more into certain mentors,
Okay.
just because of this current life circumstances in terms of just business in general, and just lean more into that. One of my mentors just sold their business this past Tuesday, and he was in business for 30 years.
Wow.
And so I was like, he's a great man, words of affirmation. He provides a lot to me, and I know that's kind of my love language is like getting that from people.
Yeah.
I notice that like really fills up my cup, knowing that I'm on the right track of serving people.
Yeah.
And serving, a lot of it's just like, it's funny. I'm on Instagram a lot, because that's where I do a lot of my business, and then as well as just I find a lot of resources, and I find myself I'm like, oh, hey, you're a realtor. Like, hey, have you done this? Or have you heard of this method?
Yeah.
Same thing with, I have friends who are contractors. So I try to know a little bit about a lot of things, enough to be able to provide value, and then be able to then refer those people out to people that I know.
Got it.
So
Got
again,
it.
it's like another way of giving through relationships.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as long as the things that you're doing, especially things that you do for fun, it's actually fun and it feeds your spirit and
Yeah.
it feeds your mind and just kind of because we can get locked in so much on what we're doing,
Yeah.
and sometimes you can lose sight of it. So sometimes you got to put your hair down, or I don't have too much hair to put down, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta call it a game.
Sure.
Whatever you want to call it. All right, it's called Imagine If.
Okay.
All right. Imagine if you could go back in time and give your younger self advice about life design. What would it be?
Man. I want to say it would be I would say working out, like if making working out a habit and being consistent with that.
Okay.
Just because of the discipline, like if I had more of that, I think it would make a little bit more different health wise and just even every other aspect of life. And I think just letting them know that like Daryl, everything is going to be fine. Continue having faith, continue working hard, continue investing in yourself. It may not look like a workout, but it's going to happen, but still dream big.
There you go.
I think that's the biggest thing, because like we'll even if we aim here and we don't hit there, we'll get here, but we'll still get pretty dang close.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so I think we always have to aim big, because it's other than that we limit ourselves, I think, into what we could accomplish.
Hey, what our guy Les Brown says, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you land among the stars, right?
Yep.
So shoot for the moon. All right. Imagine if you could invite 3 people, living or dead, to dinner. Who would they be, and what's one of the topics of conversation that you might have? And if you don't have 3, that's fine.
But I mean, I think it would be like Napoleon Hill would be interesting.
Okay.
Napoleon Hill, Patrick but David, I think it would be cool.
All right.
And who else? I think Jesus would be pretty cool.
Okay.
Just again, it's just in the flesh.
There you go. There you go. So what do you guys? This is the dinner now. What are you guys talking about?
Man, I would. It's gonna be about life. Like, tell me the meaning of life.
Yeah.
Tell me like what is a life of fulfillment. Yeah. What is purposeful living?
There you go.
I think that would be the question I would have.
There you go. And the Dalai Lama says the purpose of life is to be happy. So hopefully it has something to do with that.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Okay, imagine if, last one, imagine if you were an insurance superhero. What superpower would you have, and what would it bring value? How would it bring value and protection to your clients?
Oh man, an insurance superhero. That's a new one. I mean,
insurance superhero.
man, if I was an insurance superhero, if I could help give everyone higher coverages without increasing their rates.
There you go. Your phone would never stop
And be able
ringing.
to be able to clear off all their bad driving records.
Okay.
And then be able to give them instant good driving habits. Yeah, because auto insurance is like the biggest. Auto insurance makes the biggest dent in the profits of all insurance companies.
Yeah.
Is my understanding. So again, being able to do that, having people have proper higher coverages if possible, clean records, good drivers, we as a state would have better rates.
Okay. So just kind of starting to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're living a life by design, by your own design? And if so, why is that important to you?
Yes, the answer is yes. It comes to living this life with intentionality. There's some people that have passed. I had a friend who committed suicide in high school my senior year, and she was one of my childhood friends from kindergarten. and other people just been passing. And as I see people pass, it's just like, poof, that's it. It's like Winston Churchill would say, is like, life is like a candle in the wind.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, it's
Out.
gone, it's over.
And so I try to be as intentional with my time to have those relationships with people who also want to give me their time.
Okay.
Because there are relationships where I feel I am more forward than others,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not reciprocated. So then that's where I have to learn to manage what my level of expectation is.
Yeah.
So, because in this world, again, me being a believer, it's just, I want to be an example for people who look at me and be able to say, because he did it, I could do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that takes intentionality. I know I'm not perfect, but I believe just by constantly working on myself,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be impacting someone. And all it takes is just that one person to then create that ripple effect.
Yeah.
From kindness or as an example, or me giving a word of affirmation. Again, intentionality of how you want to live your life and how you want to be remembered and why you live your life. I think if you work on that, you'll have a better idea what guides you. Because like my mission statement, or my wife and I's mission statement, is to intentionally live out our values while helping as many people as possible, while being outstanding stewards of the blessings given to us by God.
Awesome.
And those values is faith, family, finances, and fitness in
There
that
you go.
particular order.
Nice.
Because our faith is what brings us together. Our family is what brings our the unity of us two together.
Yeah.
Our fitness will keep us healthy in order to continue doing those two.
Mm-hmm.
And then the money will come because we'll have good habits.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our mission. That's what we want to do
That's beautiful.
and if those things align in terms of how I make my decisions, it's really become a filter system for the both of us and be able to help us essentially design our life, live our life the way that we see fit within our mission.
Beautiful. Beautiful. There's someone out there that's listening to this that has a dream, that has something that they can't like just turn off, that
Yeah.
they think about all the time, that they want to do, but they don't get the support from the people around them, the people that care for them the most,
Yeah.
who might even be afraid that, hey, you're making a bad decision. But this is the thing, they can't turn it off.
Yeah.
They know that they love this thing and they want to pursue it, but they aren't getting the support and the buy-in by the people that they look up to or feel like they need that support from. What do you tell them?
Yeah. Contact me. DM me. Get in contact with me. Daryl, my insurance guy on Instagram, all the platforms. I'll be happy to speak some life into you.
Yeah.
But outside of that, again, it's putting it out there, looking up, like if it's a business, look up business groups, check your chambers. We have tons of chambers, the North of the River Chamber, the Black Chamber of Commerce, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I'm actually going to be getting around some people who, I think there might be like an Asian Pacific Islander Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just finding the people and finding a community that supports what you're trying to do.
There you go.
I think that's the biggest thing, to put it in a nutshell. If you want to be a realtor, find real estate. Find the real estate association.
Mm-hmm.
If you're being a contractor, try to find the trade schools and see if there's anything going on.
There you go.
And speaking of trades are going to be one of the most needed skills, electricians, plumbers coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, if you have a dream and you have this burning desire for something, and you just don't know how to put it out into the world,
Yeah.
you're halfway there. You already created it in your mind. You see in your mind's eye. Now you want to see it out in physical life. It's created twice. And sometimes we just need help going from internal to external. And there's people out there that want to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'll repeat it. There's people out there who want to help you.
Yeah.
You have to just ask for help.
There you go. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now on the flip side of that,
Yeah.
There's, I know when I was in high school, I was thinking about basketball and I was thinking about girls and just thinking about the day and the next day after that, if that. I didn't really know what my special was.
Yeah.
I wasn't really thinking about it, what do you say to the person that, would like to design their life, would like to, hey, you guys, it sounds pretty cool, this design your life, but I have no idea what my special is. I have no idea what my gift and my talent is. I mean, what do you say to her or to him?
I think one of the phrases that I've heard in a long time, that I remember that would be helpful for this particular type of situation would be reverse engineer. Reverse engineer what you want. So start with the end in mind, right? That was that was the phrase. Start with the end in mind, and then work backwards.
All right.
So if you want to be, let's say you're in high school, or let's say you're in junior high, and you want to be this awesome basketball player. You want to make the varsity team going into high school. All right. Talk to someone who's a coach, or that or look at those players. What is it that they're doing really well at? How can you become? How are they an example of you, and work yourself backwards?
Okay.
Are they? You can't just grow instantly. We get that. But can you work on your speed? Can you work on your strength? Can you work on your free throws?
Right.
What about your level of communication? Your court IQ? Like, how do you build camaraderie, teamwork? Like, are all those things? I'm assuming and much more that will help you become this ideal team player. Because even when John Wooden, just because you're one good player, he wouldn't let you shine. Essentially, it was about the team. It wasn't about you as an individual.
Right.
So that's what I would do. I would work backwards from whatever that goal is, and from there you'll see, do you have anyone that could help you through any of those steps?
Okay.
And where are you on those steps?
Awesome. Man, it's been a great conversation. You have any new projects that you have going on that you want to share, and how can we get in contact with you?
Yeah, so new projects right now, not necessarily in any new projects, but I am going to start teaching as an instructor and consulting with the Kern Women Business Center.
Okay.
So I'll be instructing on the vendor mobile food program. So people who want to become food vendors, like in food trailer or food truck, come out. Again, I'll be teaching out that. Again, the Kern Women Business Center, you can get in contact with them. And I'll also be doing consulting for them as well.
Okay.
I'm open to doing business consulting on the side as well. I'll put that out there.
Yeah.
Again, just been able to help a lot of people just through the insurance, and also just from knowledge of what I've been able to pick up in the relationships, being able to help people get their idea off the ground.
Nice.
So trying to see any other projects other than that. Oh yeah, so I'm a co-founder, one of three. So it's myself, Vachika Eck, and Brittany Brewer. We are the co-founders of Dine and Discover Bakersfield. So
Okay, say it again.
Dine and Discover.
Dine and Discover. Okay.
Yeah, Bakersfield Restaurant Week.
All right.
So we did our first. So this actually came out of the Innovation Lab.
Okay.
And the Innovation Lab. When we put this program. So have you ever been to a Restaurant Week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we used to. San Diego, man.
There you go.
It burns me up. I mean, Bakersfield, I love but San Diego Restaurant Week, yeah.
Exactly. So you know what the experience is. So that was the reason. So I went to San Diego. Brittany was living in New York, and she did it out there in New York. Okay. And then Vachika, she's just a big foodie as well. And so we just came together and tried to bring that experience here to Bakersfield. So it was a good success. We focused in downtown, and then we actually had one business have a significant increase in sales from it. Nice. So again, we're just looking to continue that experience and try to make it a regular. So that'll be coming up sometime later this year.
Okay.
So be on the lookout at that. So Dine and Discover, you could find them out on Instagram. And I'm trying to see. Yeah, I think really it's just been focusing more on just life insurance and commercial business insurance for this upcoming year is a big thing. So. Yeah, people could find me. Again, I'm on all social media as Daryl, Daryl, my insurance guy. And then they can text us at our office, or you give us a call at 326-7200. Again, if you guys just wanted to just chat about business, I could help you, who I could connect you with. again, I think a lot of people are just like, what was it 6 degrees or 1 degree of separation?
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 degrees of separation, I think is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you'd be surprised on how I could potentially help you. That's what I share with people. If you have something, I do my best to help you out. If I can't help you, I probably may know someone else that could help you.
Hey man, listen, you helped us out, and just in general, just with sharing. So I really appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing conversation. I just want one name.
Okay.
I want one name. I want you to think about them, because like people hang out together. So, I know you and your wife are together, but like people kind of tend to be gravitated towards each other. So one person that you could think of that have designed their lives, crafted a beautiful life around passions, their dreams, their goals, whether it's in insurance or not.
Yeah.
Think of that person, but before you say the name, you got to help us get them on the show, or her, or whoever that is.
Yeah. So the person who it is, like, I think who's done a good job, has also mentored me. His name is Traco Matthews.
Traco Matthews.
Yeah.
I'm familiar. Yes. All right.
He how I met this gentleman was through he was working, I think, as an HR somewhere, I think with Era, but he talked about values. He talked about the book called The Speed of Trust.
Okay.
And when he told me about that book, I actually read the book, and I stopped at the organizational trust. I should have went further at that time, but it helped me out so much because it helped me understand more direction of my life and how to, actually, I think it really helped design my life just because it gave me better structure.
Yeah.
Through that book, The Speed of Trust, and that was a touch point by me. Just hey, I've been reading this book. This is kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
And he was already one of those type of people who was willing to help.
Yeah. No, 100%.
That's why I think and again, I just met him first of this year too. Met with him talking about some things, and he's the first person that I think who's very intentional about living his life and how he lives his life. And then I have another person for you too. I think he does a great job of it too. Is Justin Hebert, Dr. Justin Hebert, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, he's New Frontier Consulting. He also does business coaching. He's SHRM designated. Actually, I think he's also Six Sigma. He has like his black belt license or something like that. And then he has a partner, Malin, who's big in sales, and they just have so many business. He has a lot of businesses going on, and he's been intentional, man of faith, just very deliberate on how he lives life. Like when you asked me earlier about what's your morning routine? Yeah, he's on his morning routine.
There you go.
For me, it's like getting up and getting to work, unless I've been better about waking up early because I've been going to bed late. But besides the point, Dr. Justin Hebert, I think he would be good. He has his own podcast, Limitless Longevity, with Dr. Hugh Beatty.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you again for coming through, man. I really, really appreciate it. It's been another insightful and wonderful conversation. My guy, Daryl, my insurance guy, I appreciate you coming through. And for you out there, just remember, you are a champion. Believe it. The design of your life, in my opinion, that's the greatest gift that you could ever give yourself. And you don't have to be a superstar, an entertainer. You don't have to be in the 1% in order to do that. So I appreciate you stopping by. Next week, we have another exciting guest. Design your life. Your dreams are worth it. Mm-hmm. Your dreams are worth it. And you deserve your dreams. Design your life. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Design your life. You gotta dream it, like you mean it. Embrace the vision, no need to conceal it. Feeling masterpiece, the colors so bright. Aim for the stars, reach new heights. Align your life, don't let it design you. Chase your dreams, make them all come true. Dance to the rhythm, move with the beat. You're the creator, get up on your feet. Yeah, you gotta dream it, like you mean it. Embrace the vision, no need to conceal it. Dream masterpiece, the colors so bright. Aim for the stars, reach new heights. Design your life, don't let it Chase your dreams, make them all come true. Dance to the rhythm, move with the beat. You're the creator, get up on your feet.